Max Orland, Melbourne Football Club. You're listening to the Coaches Panel.
This is Nat Fyfe from the Fremantle Footy Club.
Trent Cotchin from the Richmond Footy Club.
Scott Pendlebury from the Collingwood Football Club. You're listening to the Coaches Panel.
Patrick Cooch from the Carlton Footy Club.
It's Rory Sloane here from the Adelaide Crows.
This is Tom Mitchell. You're listening to the Coaches Panel.
There's only a handful of players that have played for both the Adelaide Crows and the Port Adelaide Football Club. But in 2025, Rory Atkins is going to be joining that list. He's been traded from the Gold Coast Suns to the pair. What does it mean for his footballing future, for the Suns, for Port Adelaide, and for fantasy footy coaches across SuperCoach, AFL Fantasy, Dream Team, and Keeper? Have we got some relevance here with this move of Rory Atkins, or is there nothing to see here? Hey, it's MJ from the Coaches Panel. Thanks again for tuning in on another one of these player review episodes as we look back at all the players that have moved clubs during the 2024 trade and free agency period, and I'll give you my first thoughts about what it means for us in 2025 and beyond. If you haven't liked the YouTube channel yet and you're watching this video, make sure you do so. Turn the notifications on so that as soon as every episode we drop across the off-season and 2025 pre-season, you'll be notified straight away. And if you're listening to this as an audio podcast, be sure to subscribe and give a 5-star rating. Rory Atkins was not a player I thought I'd be talking about. I'll be honest, and probably he too, up until 48 hours before the trade, did not think his name was coming up. This is his third AFL club, and there's a little bit of heat out there in the AFL media community about Rory, but he's actually a pretty good teammate. Got some nice wheels about him, runs for days. Definitely when the ball and the wall that their team have set up defensively or offensively, and he can run through that. He's actually a pretty handy outside player in that regards. The knock on him has probably been doesn't work as hard defensively as he does offensively, and some of his skills let him down. But where that may be true, probably the thing that I've observed and heard in the AFL media landscape and from Clubland the most is just how phenomenal he is as a teammate and culturally how much he adds to a club. And so for Port Adelaide, I think that's one of the things that attracted them to him. But they've come out and said what this means for them. Maybe we should talk about what this means for Port Adelaide. There was some thinking that this is a creative way of covering the departure of Dan Houston. But politely, Chris Davies has come out from the club and said, we attracted Rory for really one primary reason, adding depth to our squad. He's not best 22 in mind. Now, that might change over the pre-season, but the reality is I see and Port Adelaide see Rory as a depth option that if required to come up to AFL level due to injuries or suspensions, he can, and he can hold down a spot across a wing or a half-back flank. This is all Rory's going to be, is a depth option. A dynamic preseason might elevate him a spot or two ahead, but I wouldn't be putting any stonks on him getting an opportunity consistently. Well, for the Gold Coast Suns, he played just 3 games this year. You'd got to go back to the 2023 season where there was a little bit of relevance and there was a little bit of consistency of gameplay, but really for the better part of Rory's career since departing the Crows, he's just been a fringe and a depth option. So I don't see this hurting Gold Coast whatsoever. If anything, it's just frees up a little bit of salary cap space to be able to pay a kid the minimum wage and really protect and prepare themselves for the coming future. So for me, that's where I see it for Rory, for both clubs. For fantasy, look, there's some 60s that he scored through there this year. I know there looks like some relevance and some value if you think he can return back to 2023 scoring where, there's some tons and decent run of form. But to me, let's just not beat around the bush here. I almost questioned whether or not I should do this video, not because it's not worth doing, but because from a fantasy perspective, a lot has to go wrong for Port Adelaide for him to get into the team and then for him to get into the team to stay there and to score well in fantasy. I just don't see that pathway. So he should be of no value and interest to you at all in your classic formats. And in drafts, I'd rather pursue him as a waiver wire option and not even look for him on draft day. But do you agree or disagree with my take on the Rat? Is he got some value for Port Adelaide more than just some depth? And in fantasy, Do you see him actually popping some scores for us this year? Could he get into the best 22 of Port Adelaide? I'd love to know. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment below and let me know. If you're listening to this as an audio podcast, you can reach out to us across social media and join the conversation about the players that have moved clubs. All the links for where you can get in touch with us across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also TikTok. You can find that in the description of this episode. Alongside that, the access codes you need to join our Patreon, and the links to get your hands on the Coaches Panel merch. All the details for that are in the description of this episode. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in yet again. We can't wait to be back chatting about another player that's moved clubs this offseason with you real soon.